very warm welcome to Bharata First. You're watching Big Picture with me, Frank Razan Pereira. Since you're here, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share the video as well so that more people get to know about us. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive information. If you like our content, please contribute to keep it alive. A small contribution that you make will be a giant leap for us to keep bringing you this content. Let me also inform you about the Bharata First Knowledge Center, your one-stop destination for all your competitive exams needs. I will be starting live big picture current affairs classes very shortly, so don't miss the opportunity to interact with me directly. Go to kc.bharatafirst.com and register right now. Hundreds are reaping the benefits of the Knowledge Center. Don't be left behind. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video. Please go through it. And now on to the discussion. The high-level regional security dialogue over Afghanistan, set to be held on November 10th in New Delhi, will be crucial for India as it will deliberate over concerns of Afghanistan soil becoming a source of terrorism and compromise security in the region. The meeting will be held at the National Security Advisor level, and the talks will be chaired by India's NSA, Ajit Doval. It is to be noted here that the invitation for the meeting was formally extended by India to China and Pakistan, along with Russia, Iran, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. However, Pakistan has reportedly refused to join the meeting. Russia and Iran have confirmed their participation. Two similar meetings were held earlier in Iran in September 2018 and December 2019. The third meeting in India got delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In this edition of Big Picture, we will analyze the NSA's meet on Afghanistan. Joining me on the program today are Suresh K. Goyal, former ambassador, Major General Ashwini Sivach, retired defense and security expert, and KV Prasad, senior journalist. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of Big Picture. Mr. Prasad, let me start the program with you first. Let's first analyze, what is the status of the NSA level talks? Where does it stand right now? Because India has extended an invitation to all the key stakeholders, but the same kind of reciprocity has not been witnessed by us.
Well, I think, Frank, you got it very rightly in terms of when we talk of reciprocity. Probably we're looking at Pakistan in particular having not really come out with any great idea of attending it. There is no formal declining of the invitation, but yes, we all have seen the report of the NSA, Mr. Moin, a couple of days ago, speaking at a media conference when he kind of indicated that he's not going to attend the event in Delhi. Having said that, I think it's an extension of the NSA meets of Central Asian republics and the neighborhood of Afghanistan that has been held twice before. And India was to host it before the pandemic hit. And so I think now that we are taking it forward, it's always important for the stakeholders in the region to come up with a solution and come up with the situation, analyze the situation and see what best can be done. India always having been maintained that solutions to that in the region, particularly the troubled Afghanistan, should be found in the region itself and not been imposed by powers outside of the region. So that being the case, and Central Asian republics in and around have a huge stakes, so does India. And remember, India has included Afghanistan in the SAARC format too, which means it's part of your extended neighborhood policy that India has. So this takes forward your neighborhood first policy and also the concerns of India on the developing situation in Afghanistan, especially after August 15th. This year when the Taliban took over. The picture is not yet clear. No country has recognized the Taliban regime per se, but yes, people of Afghanistan face the issue, and India has made three very categorical points. One, of course, the security of women, children, and the minorities. So these are three parameters that India has laid emphasis on. And certainly the NSA meet is going to take the fact that terror should not be used, Afghanistan soil should not be used for terror activities because India has had a very difficult experience the last time around.
Absolutely. Ambassador, let me bring you to the picture now, and let's take this particular aspect of the recent developments in Afghanistan forward. Now, considering what has happened over the last 2 or 3 months, from a diplomatic standpoint, how important is this NSA meet?
I cannot really, well, of course, clearly, if it were not important, India would not have taken the initiative to host the NSA's meet. So the importance of the meeting is very self-evident. What actually we need to discuss is how we proceed from here, what do we expect from the meet, and why did we actually want to host the meet at this particular juncture in time. Now, Frank, the point really here is that India was to host the meeting before the pandemic. But it's not just wanting to or host or India was going to host the meeting. India has always indicated an interest in the security situation in Afghanistan, but we have always indicated that we play that role in Afghanistan through our contribution, through our role in developmental schemes of Afghanistan, which will actually provide the kind of a political, social, and economic stability to the governance and to the structures in the country, which would enhance the security. But we also made it very clear at all times that we are not prepared to put boots on the ground, because putting the boots on the ground would militate against our own security calculus. So that's the situation from which we are going to begin. Now, also from there, if you remember, when situation began to deteriorate, when I say deteriorate, I mean it began to be clear that there could be a kind of a change of the government through force. When Taliban began to gain ascendance, if you recall, India actually was out of the table, was not on the table, except in the talks which Russia hosted. So therefore, it was important for India to get back to the table. India was in Russia, but Pakistan, China have been reluctant to see India part of the process. Therefore, after the Taliban gained control of Afghanistan through the use of force, which goes against our stated position, that is inclusive government, respect for the human rights, and no change of government through force. And last or third point, that Afghanistan soil will not be used to promote the activities in any other country. All these three have fallen by the wayside. We know what Taliban is all about. The government is not inclusive and the government is taken by force. Therefore, keeping the fact that our basic positions are being challenged or being violated in this manner, India had to get back to the table. And I think we should see the NSA meeting in Delhi against that background. China and Pakistan not coming, which is very clear by now that they will not join, does indicate what they think about this process and where they stand vis-a-vis India's role in the process. We can discuss it later on, friend.
Absolutely.
I think Absolutely.
Yes. That's a very important point. I'll take that up in the next round as well with you, Ambassador. But General Saab, let me bring you into the picture now. You know, from a defense and strategic point of view, what is the significance of the NSA's meet?
You know, Frank, our fear that, you know, in case Taliban comes over, there can be instability which may come in Afghanistan. And our fear have become very true and they have come alive. You know, not only instability, there is a situation of a civil war type, you know, position occurring in Afghanistan. There is a total financial crisis and humanitarian crisis. On top of that, the main concern which we were saying that the soil of Afghanistan should not be utilized for any terrorist activity has also become now true, that Islamic State, Khorasan and Al-Qaeda are becoming stronger day by day. And in fact, Taliban has no control of them. Islamic State, Khorasan has already shown a trailer in Nangarhar, also in Kabul, where they have killed a top Taliban leader. So the situation today is that instability in Afghanistan has got implication all around the region. This will bring a civil war type of situation where the refugees will also flow from Afghanistan to all the Central Asian states, be it Iran, be it Turkey, and be it Pakistan. Now, the issue which today coming is that we were always saying that until there is no inclusive government, until unless all stakeholders are taken into consideration, you will find that the instability will occur in Afghanistan. Not everyone was with India, but recently Iran and Russia had realized it. What India was suspecting has come true. Now the fact is that Iran is realizing the Hazara community, which are Shia, they are one which are targeted in Afghanistan, and lot of influx of Hazaras coming in Iran. Same way the Russia, which was earlier looking for its own interest, now start feeling it that the instability which is in Afghanistan, especially these Central Asian states, which are basically a secular state, you know, fundamentalism and Islamic terrorism coming to these Central Asian states, which is considered as a soft belly of Russia and then flowing to Russia. Now this is coming true, and that's why they are very keen to join with India to formulate a policy in time to come. How do we handle this international terror coming out from Afghanistan? Now the issue which is coming is what more it can impact on India. You know, India impact is adverse as far as from military point of concern. There are 6,000 to 8,000 Lashkar-e-Toba Jaise Mohammed terrorists which were fighting in Afghanistan along with Taliban against Afghan forces. And they are now free. They are already in POK. They are well equipped with the most modern weapon, M4 and M16, which were left by American. And now the danger is that they coming toward POK, and Pakistan will now try to pump in maximum terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. So instability can come in our Jammu and Kashmir. Though our counter-infiltration grid is quite strong and stable, yet we have to be very, very alert. You will find it this winter is going to be very hot on line of, not only line of actual control, but also on the line of control with Pakistan. Now, another worry of our is the Islamic State Khorasan is also very active in the southern part of the country, especially in Kerala, where there are a number of sleeper cells. So they are likely to be get activated, and during this festive season, we are suspecting that there can be a sort of instability trying to be occurred in southern part of the country, especially during the festival season. So this also we have to watch out. Now my point is, we are trying to take all these stakeholders and trying to bring out this issue to everyone, that in case this Taliban government was recognized or accepted by all countries, especially Pakistan and China, why have they not recognized so far? Therefore, no country today has recognized Afghanistan Taliban government, and this is now cause of concern. To me, it looks like that Pakistan, which is now feeling that they have done a great job by bringing Taliban in Afghanistan, is also going to feel a pinch of it when Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is going to become very bold day by day, and number of terrorist activity will start in Pakistan. It will have an inflow in India also. At the same time, you'll find this basically between Afghanistan and Pakistan, Durand line is not recognized, and Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan want a Sharia law. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pashtun want to join Afghanistan. So the instability will come in Pakistan also. So overall, India is concerned that international terrorism will become much more stronger in Afghanistan in time to come, and instability and civil war type situation can have an adverse impact not only in Afghanistan, but in the region around. Frank.
Absolutely. Points taken, General. Let me take the discussion forward now. Mr. Prasad, let me bring you to the picture once again. You know, as far as the NSA's meet is concerned, what are our expectations? Is it a meet this time around that we are holding in Delhi just to test the waters and see where everyone stands? Or is there more to it?
There has to be more to it. But what is the primary task that countries will try to look at? Because the first fallout that most countries are expecting is the humanitarian crisis that is unlikely to unfold, because the kind of reports that, sparse as they are coming out from Afghanistan, indicate that the people are facing a lot of problems including access to food, probably access to medicine, and also we've read reports about a girl child being subjected to a different kind of treatment which is not anticipated, or rather anticipated under the Taliban regime, but kind of indicated that this might be a different government, but nothing of that sort has happened. So the biggest crisis as would unfold is countries around the region would look for the humanitarian aspect of it, how best to deal with it. Security and all will remain on the table, will be a long-term, it's a long shot because you have a government there which is totally different from what every country dealt with in the last decade or so. Now, I agree with what Ambassador Goel said, that this is not a bucket list meeting that India is hosting. We were to host it earlier, but the situation has changed after August 15th. And you're now holding a meeting of the national security advisors of key states in and around Afghanistan. So all of them have to come to some kind of a common understanding. What are the priorities that everybody needs to deal with? Security and dealing with security situation obviously will always remain. But security of everything, security of human security, security of food, security of health, security of the well-being of people. So when you talk about the word security, we cannot really see it from a narrow prism of what is in terms of defense and armed forces and all that. It's a much larger implication. So I think first and foremost, the NSS would try and pare down to what is the priority everybody will have to look at. And then how best can that be taken forward in the backdrop of two very important things, two important countries in the region who are trying to have bigger stakes in Afghanistan, that is China and Pakistan. Their attitude is very clear. The attitude of Islamabad and Beijing is very well known. Beijing has not really been as aggressive as it would have people anticipated it in the beginning, but yet it has not yet played its card out in the full. So is Pakistan playing a different game which China wants it to do? I mean, these are issues that people will look at closely. And I think that's what I take from where we are.
Absolutely. Very, very important point that you raised there. Let me take that particular aspect forward with the ambassador. Ambassador, common understanding, yes, these countries that are going to be attending the NSA's meet can have some kind of a common understanding. But like K.V. Prasad raised the issue of Beijing and Islamabad, will this common understanding work when two main stakeholders don't want it to happen and don't want India to have any kind of a say, especially in Afghanistan?
That is a cat amongst the pigeon, really. The point is that security, as Mr. Prasad said, has become a more complex issue now compared to what it was before Taliban came into Kabul or into Afghanistan. At that time, as I said before, we were counting on a more stable kind of a security through developing Afghanistan, human resource, infrastructure, etc., etc. It has changed. Now the security involves not simply infrastructure or the capacity building projects, development of projects. Security is more now really about humanitarian situation, providing medicines, food, etc., because otherwise you will have the huge influx of refugees from Afghanistan, wave of refugees trying to find these basic items all across the borders into Central Asia, Pakistan, India, etc., etc. And also the security situation per se, as be the conventional security. That conventional security, the angle really is, which Taliban didn't realize perhaps, or they knew it, or Pakistan knew it, that when you are releasing those prisoners from the jail, a large number of them were the ISK members. And suddenly you have a situation where there is a conflict. There is a contest between ISK and Taliban for influence, for power within Afghanistan. Again, between the two, Pakistan angle is very important because while Pakistan wants Taliban to be in control, but Taliban has a contest with Pakistan on the border issue, rural line. Similarly, ISK may not exactly wanting Pakistan to play a role, even though both Taliban and ISK are funded by ISI. China is, I think, basically trying to find a foot in the door, keeping future in mind that as US recedes, China wants to be in control. China has a strong, ambitious role to play in Central Asia. SCO, as we know, was targeted to really enhance Chinese role in SCO, in Central Asia. That is the thing. And therefore, at this time for India meeting with the NSA, I think the target will be to arrive at a basic understanding of what these countries can do in Afghanistan to stabilize the situation. And to stabilize the situation, we cannot ignore Taliban, friend. Taliban ultimately is in control. And the only instrument through which one can hope to gain some kind of calm and quiet in Afghanistan is with Taliban. Same time, when Taliban, we talk about Taliban, what role will be the USA? USA and UK are already trying to deliver the humanitarian support into Afghanistan through the other agencies. So I think that is what we will want to do. How do we have a kind of a common program in Afghanistan which can ensure security, have a role from the other interested stakeholders in the country, and make sure that it does not revert back to chaos and violence that Taliban could perhaps bring in case the situation does not stabilize. Very complex. I don't know if I can explain it fully, but I can see that it actually could be leading to civil war unless it is handled with some kind of deftness and sensitivity.
Very complicated, yes, Ambassador, but very beautifully explained in very limited time. And that's what's amazing. And thank you for putting it so succinctly into perspective for us. General Saab, coming back to you now, a lot of talk over the last 20 minutes has been made about refugees and the humanitarian crisis. Now, the refugees eventually may end up in India as well. Can they pose a security threat? That is one. Second, the security threat that is posed by the militant groups and terrorist groups from Afghanistan, are we prepared to handle that?
Yeah, Frank, no doubt about it. We are prepared to handle the terrorism which is emanating from Afghanistan. Our worry was basically, first of all, before that, I just want to add a point on China. The China is one of those which wanted to make use of the situation because they thought that Afghanistan is very fertile in the resources, and this will give them an, in case if they are foothold in Afghanistan, all these resources like copper, zinc, lithium can be exploited by in Afghanistan by China. At the same time, China was worried about East Turkmenistan Islamic movement, which possibly Taliban has given them some sort of assurance that they will not let it happen. But my worry is that it can happen. The thing is, Taliban is not in control of the thing. China is thinking that Taliban will toe the line with their promise to make it look like that the East Turkmenistan Islamic movement will become active in time to come, and which China will get a shocker. At the same time, Pakistan, which is thinking that they have got a strategic depth by getting a Taliban government in Afghanistan, you will find honeymoon period will be over in time to come, and you will find the relation between Taliban, Afghanistan and Pakistan government will start deteriorating, especially due to Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, because Pakistan feels TTP is being supported by Afghan Taliban, and they are the one which is going to increase the terrorism in Pakistan, which can have an influence in India also. At the same time, the problem between Taliban and Pakistan will be Durand Line, which is not recognized by Afghanistan, and hence you will find it, the relations slowly and steadily will start deteriorating. And this is also a cause of concern for us. As far as the refugees are concerned, the question which you asked is a live problem. To me, it looks like that almost about 60 to 70 lakhs of refugees are going to go out from Afghanistan if this humanitarian crisis is not being tackled. As on today, people are not having even a single meal in the day because there is a total financial crisis. Remember what Afghanistan required about $4 to $6 billion per year to basically survive there, which was being given by the USA, which now USA is not giving. $9.5 billion reserve money which was there in US has been also frozen. Since it is not an inclusive government, it is not recognized by any. Since it is not recognized, no one is going to give them a loan, neither World Bank, no IMF, no European Bank, no Asian Development Bank. And hence the situation is every day there is a challenge which is increasing in Afghanistan. Humanitarian and financial crisis is becoming stronger day by day. In this scenario, instability and civil war type situation will come, and you will find the refugees flowing out from Afghanistan, going toward Turkey, going to Central Asian state, also going toward Iran, basically Hazara community, and coming to Pakistan. Now, when it comes to Pakistan, we say 15 to 20 lakhs refugee can come. Is Pakistan ready to handle them? My answer is big no. Because Pakistan itself is in a financial crisis. They themselves are in $156 billion debt. They will not able to handle it. So Pakistan will feel a pinch of that also. To me, it does not look like that refugee directly coming to India. As on today, it looks like they will not come. To us, the problem is the terrorism flowing from Afghanistan through POK to India. In terms of this 6,000 to 8,000 Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaise Mohammed terrorists, which were fighting in Afghanistan and which are battle hardened. And this, what is happening in Poonch Rajouri jungle is a glimpse of that. So that is a bigger challenge to us. We have to be very alert. How do we handle this massive buildup of 6,000 to 8,000? Out of them, about 1,000 are the one Fidayeen attack. So this is our cause of concern. We are worried, but we are prepared, and our counter-infiltration grid is quite stable. At the same time, Islamic State Khorasan, which we have forgotten for time being, is also going to become very active now, especially in especially in southern state. So that also we have to be focused. And another thing which I am feeling is that the basic routes which have been adopted for infiltration, basically of control and also international border, you will find a lot of influx coming from Bangladesh as well as Nepal. We have to be very alert. The way we were alert about Rohingya, this, refugee can flow from other sides. So we have to be alert. So overall, I feel it is a challenge even for India, and India can play a very major role. This meeting which we are doing is a step in the right direction. The countries which are attending are in the same frequency as far as India is concerned, because they are understanding the problem which we anticipated is now coming true. Frank.
Points taken, General. Okay, time to get quick closing comments now from all my panelists with the best way forward and what needs to be done as far as Afghanistan is concerned, starting first with you, KV Prasad.
What we need to do is now what we are going to put our heads together and see what best can be done in the given scenario, given situation, work out as to what are the threats that everybody is looking at, what are the, as I mentioned, can there be a common meeting ground? And if there's a common meeting ground, how do you prioritize and go about that? And who is going to farm out the jobs among themselves? Because every country will have to play a collective role and also have an individual approach to kind and see how best to mitigate the crisis and also to help the people and provide succor. So I think this is a meeting where the national security advisors are best equipped with all the inputs of all the resources at their command to look at it from a holistic perspective and come up with some workable solution, which, as I said, will be important because you have a regime which may not exactly play, so they may not go along with you. So that is the challenge, where you have a regime which is not with you, but yet you have to deal with the situation as it emerges. So that, I think, is the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Ambassador?
Yes. Very briefly, I think there is no possibility now finding an ideal solution as India would like it. So we have to look at the best possible case scenario. And in that best possible case scenario, we will have to factor in Taliban into any kind of a solution. We have to marginalize ISK. We need to make sure that Pakistan role is limited. Maybe we may have to work with China. Most importantly, there is a rift within Taliban, as was clear also by that when Haqqani was given dominant positions in the cabinet, but there are indications of the rift. And we have to see how that rift can be used to bring some kind of a stability to Afghanistan once again. Thank you, Frank.
Absolutely. And General, close the show for us with your quick concluding remarks.
Yeah, Frank, I feel that the Taliban government is going to stay in Afghanistan in a time to come, though instability and civil war type situation will occur. So in future, we may have to open as a country also some sort of relationship with whatever government is there in Afghanistan, because we have to take care of our heavy investment of $3 billion which has taken place there in Afghanistan. Our main concern is basically Chabar Port, where we have deployed and employed resources and invested about $1.2 billion. Now, there is a threat that China was trying its best and trying to move Iran, that Chabar Port, they can take care of it. Chabar Port is very important to us. Not only that it goes bypass Pakistan, go to Afghanistan, but also to Central Asian state, and then also connecting basically North-South transport corridor. So therefore, the point today is this is very important to us, and we have to make sure that we remain relevant as far as Chabar Port is concerned. At the same time, be very alert and alive on line of control. This summer is going to be this winter is going to be very hot. Not only line of actual control against China, because things are turning to be hot, but against Pakistan, because Pakistan will try to infiltrate and send maximum terrorists, especially those which are battle hardened and coming from Afghanistan, and also from Islamic State Khorasan in the southern part of the country. I suppose India is prepared for this challenge and will meet this challenge head on. Frank.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Well, what's coming out of this discussion is that the NSA's meet on Afghanistan is coming at the right time. It is an important meet considering the present situation in Afghanistan. India is concerned about the security situation in Kabul. However, Pakistan staying away and China's lukewarm response on the meet in Delhi clearly shows their intent for Afghanistan. They do not want India to get any kind of a hold in the region. What we need to focus on is working out a common minimum program with like-minded nations and work out what is best for everyone. Security is a big concern area. However, humanitarian aid seems like it will be on top of the agenda and, of course, bringing stability to the region. Well, before I go, let me once again remind you to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share the video as well so that more people can get to know about us. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive information. If you like our content, please contribute to keep it alive. A small contribution will be a giant leap for us to keep bringing you this content. Let me also inform you about the Bharata First Knowledge Center, your one-stop destination for all your competitive exams needs. I will be starting live big picture current affairs classes very shortly, so don't miss the chance to interact with me directly. Go to kc.bharatafirst.com and register right now. Hundreds are reaping the benefits of the Knowledge Center. Don't be left behind. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video, so please take some time and go through it. That's it from me. See you again next time.